Hey guys, here's some more interesting stuff being exposed. Children of the light, man. The Bible does talk about the straight and the narrow gate, right? So, anyways, check it out. Let me know what you think.
Kill them, and they're going to pay us to do it.
Yes. So I can't let that go by.
Yeah.
And as part of what's being revealed, we're like, why is this delaying? Why is it delaying? Why is it
Yeah.
delaying? Well, part of the delay is that there had to be exposure of those, some of it, maybe they weren't bad before, but the pressure on them has made them turn into doing things that are clearly revealing them. And so the intensity of this day is revealing people that can be manipulated towards darkness, towards evil. And in the same, I have to mention, because it was sent to me as well today, this thing of a promo. Andy Stanley, pastor from Atlanta, Georgia, mega church pastor, one of the most, top 3 to 5. I don't know if he's still there. Popular pastors in America. His dad was Charles Stanley, and who passed away recently. But he used to host the LGBT. I don't know if it has more letters Q, but the LGBT affirming conference, an affirming conference. And so I just want to say how wrong that is.
Yeah.
And for people who aren't sure and need to hear that, is because it's one thing. There's a difference between loving the LGBT community. I'm for that. If it's a conference expressing our love for them, it may be questionable. But this is like, it's literally being called an LGBTQ affirming conference. And so they're hosting it. And you have to understand that every letter LGBTQ, whether it's lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, whatever, it is expressing an actual sin. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody who's engaged in actively in them. So you're saying you're a sin affirming, you're having a sin affirming conference, because that's literally what you're doing. Again, this is different than loving the community. I'm totally for loving the community, but you're doing the opposite of loving the community when you are telling him God has a place where you don't have to make any adjustments to his standards, to his ways, and you just go. It's like, what's next? The murders affirming conference is like, yeah, you couldn't help stealing, you couldn't help, and people say, hey, you weren't born that way. Listen, if you don't get proper training, if nobody ever says no, you'll become a thief and a murderer, and it'll be something that looks like you were born with it. So at some point there has to be a bowing to his standards. And I'm not saying, everybody knows I'm not one of these to go after people, finger pointing, you're going to hell and all that kind of stuff. But that's so different than a church actually doing a conference where they're like, they're now on the record of saying this is okay. Because if you're saying, again, if I've missed something from and somebody wants to point that out, fine, I'll
Is this something, if he's affirming LGBTQ's lifestyles, is this something he was doing before his father passed and it was already going on, or is this some new rollout he's coming up
Well,
with?
he and his father have been separated in the sense for decades. He's been in his own church, and they've kind of their paths have split a little bit. So I don't think it's because it's, but maybe, but it seems to be like recent. It's these things that are being exposed in these days, and I don't have really the time to go in it. But I just want to throw out there: if your church or pastor is part of sin affirming, any sort of conference that is sin affirming, you just need to leave, or bowing to mandates. If there is another test, it's going to be allowed by God, if that allows us to find out again. Like, you can, like, I won't say forgive and forget the first time if your pastor went along with the whole stuff and he shouldn't have, and his mandates, and he fell for the fear and whatever. It is out there. The information's out there right now. And if there is another round of anything, it would be just so these could be exposed. I say, in a way, it's like Travis Kelce being exposed. It's like Andy Stanley being exposed. You need to know who you can trust in a leadership position and who's not in the proper place there. I say get out. And I say get out in some way. emotionally, spiritually, financially, if that is where you have family and friends and you just can't leave, at least in your heart, switch allegiance and see yourself as a kingdom infiltrator asset that's this there trying to be someone who brings truth. You know, you could just be like, I know it's the wrong direction, the wrong everything. I actually get my spiritual life source somewhere else, Elijah Stream or somewhere else, but that's just my community of friends and whatever. I'm like, I'm not saying for sure stay there, but these are the type of decisions. This becomes your personal test. When you see where your leaders, where your church, where your denomination is, you then, there's a next level of accountability for you as well. It's not just pointing the fingers at those who.
Well, you're clearly saying, let's say if they're in that category, and you think, well, you think or say to yourself, I'm here to just love everybody and be a witness on the opposite side. Everybody else from the outside looks at you and says, oh, you're affirming them. Like, I mean, there's a point. I know we're not supposed to care what other people think, but if you're in that and everybody's watching you affirm it, now you become a stumbling block. And this is my opinion. I'm just going to say that you just become a stumbling block to all the people watching you. I don't know. Okay, I've said it now. You can go on.
No, it is. And so these things need to be said and pointed out in the midst of saying, you know, we're going into an amazing season. The transition is a transition of the ages. It's amazing. It's awesome. But that's part of it. Part of it is like, how do we quit partnering with sin?
Yeah.
How do we quit partnering with infiltrators? This part of it's going to be clear, progressively clear, is the infiltration that's taken place into good institutions, into Christian institutions.